so I have been actually thinking about going live on this topic for a while, but it just didn't feel like the right time, or I was busy, or I had other things to do. And this topic is in honor of Disability Pride Month. July is Disability Pride Month. Why? Because in 1 July in 1990, the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed, which stopped people with chronic illnesses from being discriminated against. Of course, that's something that doesn't always happen exactly as we want it to, but that's what it's all about. And so happy Disability Pride Month to all of my friends who are living with a disability. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't invite some of my buddies to hop on with me. Because I wanted to share some things, and hopefully if you are somebody, one of my friends who is living with a disability, maybe this will kind of open things up for you and can be a tool you can use to share with people that you know who maybe want to support you but don't know how. Because I think that's where a lot of people fall. A lot of people fall into this category of, I love somebody who has a disability, I don't know how to support them. And so then what ends up happening is that they sometimes do things, say things, act in ways that are super not supportive without even knowing it. So what I wanted to do is, I'm turning a little bit here, I'm at my favorite place. I'm going to turn the camera around for a second just to give you guys a view of how awesome this place is, because I just love it. I mean, you guys have seen so much of it, but yet another view of the Gateway Trail. So it's just gorgeous, sunshine everywhere. This is why I love living in Tennessee, because it's always beautiful and sunny here. And okay, so now where's the camera? Okay, so got that beautiful view, and I wanted just to hop on here to share 3 things that you might be doing as a fully abled person that might not be super helpful. 3 things that maybe you can change to support someone that has a disability or chronic illness. So whenever I share things like this, I like to share topics. Hey, Monty! I like to share topics in groups of 3, right? Because I think it's easier to remember 3 things than it is 5 or 8 or 4 or whatever. I think 3 is a nice round number. And the second thing I like to do is at least start them with the same letter, because it's easier for them to stick in your mind. So I'm going to find myself a seat so you don't get dizzy looking at me. These are 3 things that we can probably all do a little bit better at, myself included, even though I am a person that lives with a chronic illness, a disability. I probably can do a little bit better at this for other people that I love who have disabilities as well. So what are those things? The first of the 3 things that we can do better about, all of these start with the letter C. There's 3 of them. And the first thing is compare. So it's so easy when you're talking to somebody. As human beings, we try to connect with people, and one of the ways that we try to connect is through comparison. But when you are dealing with someone who has a chronic illness that is a struggle for them, sometimes what you think is connecting sounds a lot more like comparing. So for example, I have Crohn's disease. That's the diagnosis I have, my chronic illness. And sometimes people say, oh my God, I know exactly how you feel. The other day I had a stomach bug and I felt horrible. You know, I can totally empathize with you. And the fact of the matter is, you really can't, right? I'm not trying to be rude here, but you having a stomach ache is not the same as me living with chronic pain in my gut, joints, multiple areas of my body, and having to live on chemotherapy long term. It's not the same. Is it something that may help you to become a little bit more empathetic in the future so that maybe you can pray or be supportive? Absolutely. But when you say things like that to somebody who's struggling with a chronic illness, it's, even though your goal is to connect with them, it doesn't feel like a connection to the person on the other side. So one thing we can stop doing is comparing. What can you do instead? Make a true connection. I'm so sorry you're going through that. I really feel, you know, like I wish there was a way I could help you. Would it be helpful if I, you know, found some, you know, what foods can you eat? Or if they're dealing with a gut issue like myself, or what can I bring to you that might bring you some comfort? Hey, I ordered some dinner so you don't have to worry about, I knew you've been in and out of the hospital. Some little things like that, right? So You can find other ways to connect. You don't always have to connect through comparison, and that's a really big deal for those of us who have chronic illness. Don't try to compare your experience with ours. We also need validation, and comparison is kind of a way of brushing somebody's feelings and emotions and situation under the rug instead of acknowledging it. Even if that's what you meant to do, even if your goal was to acknowledge somebody, comparison is not the way to do it. Okay, the next thing here is compete, right? So it sounds crazy that you would ever think about competing with somebody who has a chronic illness, but again, in an effort to connect, another C word, a lot of us do that too, right? So we might say, oh, you have arthritis? Oh yeah, I've had that too. Like I got, I actually saw not too long ago, somebody was trying to, and I know the goal, right? The goal was to try and empathize and help somebody, and said, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, that happened to you? Wow, that happened to somebody I know too. And they got over it in X amount of time by doing A, B, and C. So it becomes a competition, right? First of all, again, you are not that person's doctor. You don't know the depth or the detail of their condition. And so for you to make a suggestion sounds a whole lot more like competition than it does like connecting. So what's something you can do? Again, same thing, guys. A genuine connection is more valuable than a competition. It's just saying, oh man, I'm really sorry. Maybe you don't have the words, and that's okay. When somebody is sharing something about their illness or what they're going through with you, it's because they want you to be there to listen, not because they need you to compare or compete with them. And then the last thing, which I'll go through, I'm going to move because the sun is glorious, but it's also making me what was that? It's making me sparkle a little bit because I'm a lady. I don't sweat, I sparkle. The last thing is correct. This is a really, really big one. When I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease and I did my research and learned about my illness, so many people, well-meaning, awesome human beings that I love with everything inside of me. I'm taking a quick break to show you these pretty flowers. Oh, they're all purple, like lavender. How pretty. Anyway, okay. So many well-meaning people, instead of being there for me, they just wanted to fix it. This is the thing, guys. Just like with the other two situations, when someone with chronic illness shares what they're going through with you, it's not an invitation for you to fix their problem. They're not looking for that. What they're looking for is your empathy and your humanity. So this is not an opportunity for you to say, hey, I know so-and-so and they went and got this therapy or that medication and it fixed them. That'll probably fix you too. It's not the time to do that. When somebody who is dealing with a chronic illness shares with you, that is a special moment. That is somebody who's going through a very difficult time that has decided to be vulnerable with you and share something extremely personal, because health is extremely personal. And so when somebody does that, instead of trying to fix it, as well-intentioned as it is when you say, hey, I researched this or that or the other, and this is what I found, if you're not invited to share that, don't share it. Just be there and ask them. If you really are that kind of person, I am a kind of person that does try to find solutions. I'm a problem solver by nature. So I understand that desire to try and help. I mean, I've had to catch myself recently with my own mom, right? Like my mom was in a couple of car accidents and is dealing with some extreme pain. And so my desire for my mom to be okay pushed me to a point where I'm like, oh my God, I sound annoying. My poor mom is having to listen to me telling her, have you tried this? What about this? What did the doctor say about this? And you know what? At the end of the day, she didn't need any of that. What she needed when she came to me was someone to listen. And so once I figured that out, I stopped myself in my tracks and I said, okay, I'm going to listen, because that is what someone needs when they open up to you about something as personal as an illness or a disability that they're facing. So I hope that's helped you so that you can refocus your efforts on helping people from comparing, competing, and correcting issues to connecting with people. Because at the end of the day, the illness is only one piece of their life. It's only one part of who they are. It's not their entire identity, but you connecting with the human being behind that is going to be so much more valuable for you and for them. I hope this has blessed you guys, and I hope it encourages you to go out and care for somebody. Like I said, this month is Disability Pride Month. We are so grateful. I am personally grateful for the Americans with Disabilities Act that prevents people from discriminating against me as a person with a disability. And I know that so many people are grateful that we can celebrate this month, not celebrating our disabilities, because again, it's just a small piece of who we are, but celebrate that we are in a country where we can truly stand and say, okay, I'm not going to be discriminated against because there's some laws here that protect me. I hope this has encouraged you guys. If it has, go ahead and share it. If you're a person with chronic illness that maybe didn't know how to express this, use this. Go ahead, share it with your community, because I think a lot of us struggle with finding the words to say, hey, I know you mean well, but what you're doing is not helpful. What you're saying is not helpful. And so hopefully this gives a little bit of guidance, a little more than saying, stop talking to me, a little more information so that someone you love can connect to you, because I guarantee you that's what their goal is. Their goal is not to correct you. It's not to compete with you or compare illnesses or notes. It's to connect with you. And so go in with that mindset and use resources like this one right now to educate people, and so that we can make it a better place for everybody dealing with a chronic illness or a disability. God bless, guys. Take care.